Well, it goes beyond just people working in the coal mine, but with a few people that I've talked to, it's destroying their way of life. It's the mountaintop removal is putting a lot of particulates in the atmosphere, causing respiratory problems. The silk that's given off, all the byproducts that's given off, has been being stored in dams and in old mines, and now you can actually see some of it from the road, which Maisie said that it was not going to do, and so it's also destroying everything around them besides their labor.
Well, yeah, I mean, aside from the toxic chemicals in the air and the water, the loss of the forest is very important here, because people here depend upon a lot of the, the non-timber benefits of the forest, the fruits, the firewood, wild herbs and medicines, mushrooms, berries, you name it, and also the hunting and fishing. This has been a very important part of the subsistence economy, because not everyone works in the coal industry, and those here that don't tend to live on a much lower income level. And that's not to say they're poor, but one of the reasons they're not poor is because they have these mountains to go to, and they know how to live in these mountains, and they also have gardens. So what we're seeing now is that even their gardens are threatened. The blasting is putting toxic dust on it. It's drying up the streams they depend on for water. And what water they do have access to is often not even fit for water in your garden. So it's not only destroying the mountains, it's destroying the way of life, and it's moving people out of here. It's really a form of corporate ethnic cleansing. And these corporations have made it clear that in order for them to do what they need to do, they need to move the people out. And they've been very direct about this. But these folks, some of these families have been here since the Revolutionary War. And they're not going easily. But we're witnessing the destruction of an entire mountain range, and it won't end here. And they are trying to expand mountaintop removal into other areas of the Appalachians. And so this could threaten the water supply for a third of the population of America. Most of the Southeast depends on water from Appalachia. So this is not just destroying the way of life for Appalachians, but for Southerners and for all of us.
Well, the hostility isn't here like with Dixie, Idaho, and the clear cutting, and I mean, it's just, we've talked to people who are retired coal miners, we've talked to people that used to be coal miners. I mean, when we came down here in the 70s talking about anti-nuclear stuff, you know, people were very, very hostile because they thought we were also anti-coal, which we were. But now, I mean, that is just completely gone. I haven't felt any of the anger and hostility that people would have felt when they went into the South to organize with the civil rights movement.
Well, I hope that's a proper assessment. You know, people who work down here and have worked down here over years face constant threats, death threats, and I've even gotten death threat rumors.
So you have?
Yes, in the last week. But I think you're right. The level of hostility is not as high as I saw in timber country in the Northwest. It's not certainly as high as it was in the Deep South over segregation. There are elements that are extremely hostile, but most of the folks here are not involved in mountaintop removal mining. They get very little benefit from it, as opposed to the underground mining, which employs many more miners, which means many more stores, many more businesses are benefiting.
And so people can understand this.
Yeah,
it just takes like 14 people to move around a mountain with big machinery.
It was difficult for them to understand it at first. They thought attack against the mining industry at all was attack on West Virginia, and and they were told that that's how it was, and it was always exaggerated. Coal has always acted like it was under threat, even when it wasn't. It's a good position for them to be in. They try to retain the position of an underdog, fighting for their lives and caring for their workers. Now, given that no one else is caring for these workers, where else do they got to go? So what we've got to do is create an economy where they have someplace to look to. Windmills is certainly part of that. Solar is certainly part of that. And look at these massive coal reserves. Shouldn't they be getting carbon credits for not mining them and bringing in new industries here that are sustainable?
Recently, the windfalls were voted down here in West Virginia. Could you tell us about that, and why was it voted down?
They weren't voted down. They weren't allowed to vote on it.
Oh, at all?
At all. And they killed it in committee on the last day of the legislature. And even though there was enough sponsors to ensure that it would pass, They put a big hard time pressure on it. 4 sponsors took their name off, but it never got voted on. Even with those 4 sponsors not being there, it still had a chance. At least we would have seen that there was tremendous support for wind power in this part of the state. So that's not democracy. That's just another way of the coal companies trying to control this debate, trying to prevent any change in the status quo which benefits them and only them.
So moving from mountaintop removal to something green, I mean, it seems that, again, we've reached a point of critical mass where if 3 years ago you asked people to come down here and send out postcards to different activists, you would have nothing, and now people are coming from Ithaca and Wisconsin and Morgantown, and I mean, people are really motivated to come down here and to take part.
Well, I hope you're right on that one too. I mean, certainly we have been sending out these invites for years, and we don't always get the response we'd like. It's been interesting, the response we've got. It's been slow and steady, but we get a feel of movement. We get a feel that, you know, people are making their way out here. We've done our best to, you know, prepare the infrastructure, but really you don't know how these things are going to go. But and the most important thing is, how do people feel out there? You know, how desperate are they? Are they looking for a way where they can really do something besides write an email and send a $25 check to another organization, you know, and really come out here and challenge not just the coal companies, but this whole assumption about how we're going to move forward with the climate crisis, and to be more empowered, to be more involved, and to be more working together with each other. And that's what these campaigns have always been about. And we fight together, and we have fun together, and we give it our all, and when we do, we always get something. We get some movement, and right now we've got Massey really worried about this campaign, not because they think that a few protesters can stop mountaintop removal, but they know that the people in the state of West Virginia and the U.S. can. And if we're able to increase the visibility through our conflict, then that's what will happen. That's what it'll take to get Massey to stop.
So we're asking people to get in contact with Mike and people who have made their way here for the next 8 months and for the long haul. People are going to be living here this spring and this summer, and we ask you to do the same. The way to get in contact with them is to go to climategroundzero.org or this phone number 304-854-7372. So we ask you to come to West Virginia and to help us be a part of history and save the mountains and care for the people of Wild and Wonderful. Thank you, Mike.
All right. Thank you, Vincent. Thanks for coming down. It really is nice to see you here. Cut!